What's up, hobby friends? My name is Casey and welcome to another miniature rescue. This week, I tackle some fantastic Ork Stormboyz for Warhammer 40,000. I've been slowly chipping away at an Ork army for the last 4 or 5 years now. Tons of work has gone into taking pretty beaten up models from eBay from across the entire range and trying to get them back onto the table. So far, I've only even played a couple of games with these orks, but I would like to change that. One of my storage cabinets has a bunch of plastic bins separating different parts and pieces from various kits. Most of it is Warhammer stuff, but there's also a bunch of 3D printed extras, some Mantic models, Parabellum, and even a handful of Hot Wheels for Gaslands. Just a ton of stuff that I put in there because it's either handy for bits or models that I've started to work on, but haven't quite found the time to get back to. These Ork Stormboyz are exactly that. Models that I sort of started and then got too busy with something else to finish. It sucks because I remember putting paint on these thinking I would have another set of 5 to add to my army, which I really want to keep growing. And of course it happens. Sometimes other things are just more important than having some Stormboys, even if I can't think of what that is right now. It doesn't really matter. There are several things that need to happen in order to get these back on the table. Technically, they have been started, but I really didn't hit probably half of the mold lines on these guys, and that needs to be taken care of before anything else. I used an X-Acto to scrape the mold lines down, making sure to clean away any excess paint and plastic with a toothbrush. I also took the opportunity to drill the gun barrels. After going over the models and getting them cleaned up, I came in with some black primer with my airbrush to cover the freshly revealed gray plastic. Now I know that the paint on here is already pretty thin, since I'm the one who cleaned and started these models to begin with. Put them in a sonic cleaner years ago at this point. I got these in an army lot on eBay, a massive block of models for $145 that were all in pretty rough condition. That price was just too good to pass up, of course, and I've done quite a lot to get these to a usable state. I just need to finish a few more models from the initial purchase to actually call it done. And even then, there's still a lot to go, and realistically, if I'm thinking about it, do I even want to finish this army? Is that a goal that I want to attain? It's an interesting thought because we tend to put models together and build armies with a goal in mind, to play a game or to do something with. There's a reason. But there is value in not having those goals. I've had this army in multiple phases for the last 4 or 5 years, and every single time that I revisit it, I'm a little bit better at painting, and I have more ideas to put into that army, and I like that about this army. So I think it's probably a good idea to just say, I'm never gonna finish this army, because I don't actually want to. Interesting thought exercise aside, let's talk about these Stormboys a little bit more. Before paint, I want to get the bases started. A couple years ago, I found these awesome smoke trail flying bases for Stormboys, and I printed out some with my first 3D printer, the first one I ever had. It feels like a really long time ago. It's actually really weird going back and watching, but the bases were good then and they should be even better now. So I'm going to print out 5 more and use them for these models. Right now these guys are on 25mm bases, which is not the correct size, or at least not anymore. Today these models sit on 32mm bases, which is what the bottom part of those smoke trails actually are. Now that I've begun printing, I can start getting paint on these models. I'm going to start by giving the skin an undershade of purple. I want this to be in the shadows, and it should deepen any colors that go over the top of it. Next up, I want to bring in a little pink flesh tone. This has always been my go-to for green skin, and I like the way it makes the skin feel a bit more alive. A green skin for the green skin, and I'm going to try to get right next to the pink tones without completely covering them up. I mean, they're going to get mostly covered, but you can see that the green gets a little brighter in those spots. I can come back with the pink to freshen those spots up and not have to spray that much to get a nice opaque layer with this color, which can be a little difficult through an airbrush. Finally, I can use some of that purple to reintroduce the shadow and get that color to blend a little with the green and the pink. Shot from below and at an angle, I can get some nice muscle definition as well, making it easier to see for brushwork later on. Next up, I'll take all of the airbrush models and head to the painting table. The first thing that goes down is a dark silver. I want to use this on just about everywhere on the model, anything that could potentially be metal. There are a variety of leather straps and cloth on each model. A nice brown to start those will be perfect. Some things will stay darker and some things will go brighter, but this brown is another nice all-around base coat, a lot like the silver. Finally, a dark blue for the suits. Now, I've always liked to think that my orcs are these weird denim-clad monsters, just average Joes of the galaxy who need to get stuff done. It's also a quick color to put on a ton of models because of the coverage, and it's neutral enough that it doesn't clash with anything. The skin stands out most of all, which is really what I'm after. Stormboys are basically wearing bomber jackets, so the puffy fur collars need to be filled in with an off-white, which is perfect to start bringing up some of the colors on random horns and cloth on each model. I can even add some of that off-white to the brown to get some highlights on the leather as well. I do like a more orangey brown for leather, and we will get to that in the detail phase. But for now, adding a universal off-white or a highlight to each color and filling in a layer is going to bring out some detail and get us closer to the end goal. The skin, while looking pretty great with the airbrush workup, could definitely use a bit more saturation. Now, I don't usually call out specific colors, but I really like using Toxic Waste Green from scale 75 for my orc skin. It's just a really good shade of green and yellow. Using thin layers, I build up that yellow-green on the volumes of the muscles, using the airbrush layer as a guide. Stop the color right at the top of the muscle group where the shadow is on the next one. That gives you definition and contrast. This is definitely one of those trust the process types of things. You just have to keep going until you've done it all on all of the applicable parts, because it kind of looks bad until you do. I also came in with some lighter pink over the top of the pink and purple from the airbrush to finish off the skin. Next, I want to bring in a little color and grime to the metallic, so I'm going to cover them using an orange rusty wash. This is going to push the metallics down a bit, and the orange color looks nice with the blues. Once that dries, I can dry brush them with a brighter silver to brighten them up, and we can start on some of the more fun details. Recently, I talked about my new company, Goblin Hobbies, and our Stampin Plates that we're putting out in the very, very near future, if not already by the time you're watching this. I have been using them in my videos for just about 2 years, and today, I'm just going to include that process as I go throughout this video. Now, these orcs are pretty bare right now, but with a couple of stamps, we can elevate them in just a few minutes. Let me show you. So I want to show you a plate called Feral 001. There are definitely some useful things on here, and you can see where some of these designs could be applied, especially for these orcs. For these models, and just because we're about to launch these on our website, I am going to use one of the plate sets included in our first starter kit. This is our Heraldry 001 plate, and it's got plenty of things that are going to be useful even for these orcs, specifically this checker pattern. I'm going to load up some paint across the top and about halfway down the pattern to make sure that there's going to be enough to fill the recessed design on the plate. I'll come in with a plastic scraper card and scrape the paint towards the edge so I don't hit other designs. Using a silicone stamper head, I can lightly roll over the top of that image, and it's going to transfer onto that stamper. Then, picking up my model and looking down the transparent tube through the stamper head, I can line it up with the part of my model that I want stamped and press down. The checker pattern is transferred onto my sword, and I can paint over whatever pieces I don't want to show up. I grab some of the original silver I used and go over the parts again to clean them up. It's worth noting that some masking tape goes a long way and does the job that it's advertised to do. Just depends on where you are in your painting process. Right now, I'm okay with touching up the silver here and coming in with some rust to bring it all together. But if this was a more finished model, I probably would have wanted to mask off the other parts just in case. Either way, we have a sweet checker pattern on the sword and it looks awesome. I went ahead and did the same thing on several of the models, and I even added some nice red teeth to one of my rockets. Just little extras that really bring out character and make these look even better than they already do. If you would like to see more of this, get more information, check out goblinhobbies.com for in-depth tutorials, lots of pictures with examples of the types of things that you can do. And if you sign up for our mailing list, then we're giving away our first Goblin Minis in STL form. The final piece of the puzzle are the bases. I got everything printed out earlier, but they still need paint. The black primer is more than dry right now, so I can come in with some white to cover them entirely. Then from below, I shoot some dark blue contrast paint through the airbrush. It's transparent, so I can slowly build up some color in the shadows, making these more of the cartoony white smoke rather than flames. That's a personal preference, but obviously you can paint your smoke however you like. Once the smoke trails are done, I can cut away the models from their sculpted bases. A little touch-up is needed from the cut, but the boots are dark and don't really need much. I glued them onto the smoke trails, and I'm going to call at least these models done. At this point, I've had this orc army under construction for years, and you know what? I'm okay with that. Having an ongoing project that grows while you learn new things is fantastic. The models keep me coming back, and the way I tackle each unit changes just a little bit each time. They're still interesting to me, and when I learn a new skill, I get excited to apply it to an army that I enjoy spending time with, enjoying the process each time I come back, and at the end of the day, that's really what miniature painting is all about. So thanks again for joining me on another miniature rescue. If you like something about this video, please consider hitting that like button, sharing this video with your hobby friends, and subscribing for more miniature rescues. Once again, I'm Casey, and I will see you in the next video. And of course, here are the completed Ork Stormboyz. Thanks again for watching.